Is Prague a city full of scams? Well, if you watch our videos, it may seem like it.
You're cheating people, yes.
You're a scam artist, I know that. Wow.
My name is your problem. Wait.
Dobrý den. Hele.
Hey, we're the honest guides of Prague, and today we want to talk about scams honestly. Because if you watched our videos, it seems like that Prague is a city full of scams. It is not. We specifically target scams with our camera, and they're rare, and they only happen at certain locations. So no, Prague doesn't stand out above any other major city around the world in terms of scams. Now, what's important for this video is to define what's a scam and what is a tourist trap. A scam would be defined as someone who is scamming you, lying to you, telling you something that is not true. For example, a person, a money scammer that we film a lot about, when they're giving you some bills claiming they are Czech crowns, but they're actually not, and they're worthless. On the other hand, an exchange office that has a really bad rate is not a scam, rather a tourist trap. To give a few examples of scams that you may encounter in Prague, but it would be very rare, it would be the money scammers, it would be the fake deaf-mute scam where somebody's pretending a disability to lure money out of you. It may be a taxi driver who has a rigged meter or will claim to you that Prague is divided into zones, etc. And last but not least, that we have to mention, the traditional trdelník. Definitely not traditional Czech or Prague. Just drop the traditional. We're fine with the tourist pastry and you will love it and enjoy it. But you can see I quickly ran out of the scams. On the other hand, the list of tourist traps in Prague is very, very long. Now, just from where I'm standing, I can see many tourist traps. So let's define it. Tourist trap is a place that takes advantage of someone in a certain situation. And we're right now in Prague 1, the central district. And that central district takes up 1% of the entire area of the city of Prague. And that's where most tourists end up. They actually don't even go around the city center district. They usually stand on just one street or walk on that one street. And it is full of tourist traps. It can be a high price because the tourist doesn't really know how much things should cost, especially when he's moving only around the tourist destination. So water can cost 4 euros, whereas we as locals would only pay 1 euro. It can be food by weight. In other words, he sees a price that he thinks is the final price, but it goes by weight, so they will give him more, therefore he will once again pay more than expected. It can be the already mentioned exchange office, a very good example. They will have a big sign that says 0% commission, but the rate will be very bad. It can be a restaurant that will play different tricks on you. For example, the traditional Czech dish goes with a meat, sauce, and dumplings. They will charge you the dumplings extra at a very high price. We would never pay that as Czechs. Some absinthe and cannabis shops that we have covered in one of our recent videos. Definitely the candy stores that once again play the same game with food by weight. And some transportation that is only made for tourists. It is overpriced and even the tourists don't like it. A classical example of a tourist trap. Now, are any of these scams or tourist traps site-specific for Prague? In other words, they only happen in Prague but nowhere else? Not really that I could think of. I mean, the money changers, they also operate in Budapest. The high prices for tourists, that's pretty common around the world. So the only thing that I can think of where we kind of stand out is that we do have different currency than most of the other states in Europe. So it does help some of the scams and some of the tourist traps. Because if I'm going to tell you that a water should cost 15.90, you have no idea what that is in a split of a second in euros. I do. Now, will you encounter a scam in Prague? I doubt it. It's like a unicorn. If it will happen to you, on the other hand, take a picture of it and send it to us, and you can just avoid it because you already know our show. Will you run into a tourist trap? Well, there I am 100% sure that you will run into a tourist trap. Will you fall for it? Well, I hope not, because you watched our show. Before moving on to the next segment, which I refer to as the fake scams, let me tell you how we prepared for this episode. Honza was telling me that he's browsing different websites for scams and he came upon Scam Detector, or he actually did not, because the site wouldn't open because he was in the Czech Republic, and this site that claims to be worldwide for the scam detection happens to be geo-logged only for United States of America. But luckily Honza uses a service that is also the sponsor of our show, and that is SurfSharkVPN, which is a service that allows you to visit any website or access any content around the world, even if it is geo-restricted. So Honza simply opened his Surfshark app that he has in his phone, just like I do, but you can also use it on your computer or your tablet device, and he changed his IP location to United States, and suddenly, boom, there goes the website. If you want to try the service for yourself, you can do so, and if you use the code HONESTGUIDE, you'll get 3 months for free. The link is also below the video in the description. Thank you, Surfshark, for partnering with us. Fake scam. Now, what the hell is that? Let me give you a quick example. Drew Binsky, a huge YouTuber, was just recently in Prague, and we were planning to film something together. Unfortunately, I didn't have time, but he made a great video on his own. Check it out. We'll link it in the description. But anyhow, he went to one of the touristy restaurants on the square, and a woman approached him to take a picture of him, and later she sold him the picture for, I think, like 20 euros. And he considered that to be a scam because he said, or he thought, the woman does not work in the restaurant. Well, guess what? She does, and that is her only job. She takes pictures of people, prints them out, puts them in a little frame, and then offers the picture to be bought by the tourist. I mean, they can refuse, but the whole thing is built so they're kind of pressured to buy the picture, just like any Disney ride or any skyscraper in New York that will print your picture and then will be like, oh, you can buy it for $25. It is a ridiculous moment, but not a scam. I've been sent this clip from Drew's videos so many times that you cannot imagine, and people are like, you need to investigate it. I was like, well, sorry, not a scam. Fake scam. For another fake scams, we actually went online to certain websites that we just Googled. What are the scams they warn of in Prague? And this one we found super funny. Bird poop scam. While walking in the streets of Prague, someone throws a bit of white paste on your shoulder, so your natural intention is to look up, thinking it was a bird poop. Suddenly a friendly local will help to clean it, blah, 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 blah. Eventually they will pickpocket you. No, this does not happen in Prague. This scam was probably created by a bad AI. Another scam, definitely fake, I've never even heard of this one, is that one popular scam in Prague is when a local asks you to take their picture, they hand you their camera and ask that you take their picture. Upon returning the camera, they purposely drop it and blame you for breaking their camera, demanding you pay them. Kindly refuse anyone's picture, or unless you're 100% sure they are not locals. What? This doesn't even make any sense. Another fake scam I found, or many websites that warn about this scam in Prague, as it almost seemed like it's happening on a daily basis, is somebody pretending to be a police officer. I've read this so many times, you cannot imagine it. Now, have I experienced it? Have I seen it on the street? Have somebody told me it happened to them? No, 0 times. I cannot imagine that happening nowadays in Prague. Another fake scam is not fake, but it just does not happen in Prague, and we know it and we're certain of it, and that's the guessing game. Where's the ball? The cups and balls game. And we know that this scam does happen all around us within Europe. So we do get videos and pictures sent to us from Budapest, from Berlin, from Paris, from London, and so on, but for some reason not in Prague. And we're awaiting these guys with open arms. We'll be so happy to film them and show them to the world. So is Prague city full of scams? Well, some websites and our videos may seem like it, but no, it is not. It's a city full of beautiful architecture, amazing pubs, amazing coffee places, many hidden beautiful streets, a great atmosphere and great people. So I hope you will come here. But if you do see a scam or experience a scam in Prague, consider it to be like a blast from the past. Enjoy that moment, take a picture of it, or send us what happened to you or your friends on your trips to Prague to podvůdky@gmail.com. That's our little mailbox where we collect scams from our country. Hope to see you in Prague soon. The spring has started, the summer is awaiting us, and we're gonna have a great time. See you next week here on our channel, The Honest Guide. Ahoj! In the end of every video of The Honest Guide, I teach a Czech word. By now, you should be fluent in our language. And today I'm going to teach you how to say to be cautious. Cautious, yeah. Obezřetný. Cautious, obezřetný.